You probably clicked on this video because you recently had a friend or a family member who just experienced a difficult loss and you're wondering, how can I support them? Well, in this video, we'll offer 6 tips for what to expect when someone is grieving, what's helpful versus harmful to say, and a couple proactive actions you can take to support somebody through their grief. I'm Adele with Eterneva, a company that turns ashes into diamonds. On this channel, we release content to help change the conversation around death, dying, and grief. The past couple of years of working with families to memorialize remarkable loved ones by turning their ashes into diamonds has taught us a lot about grief. We've seen and dealt with every kind of grief and loss, from the loss of a spouse, to a parent, to a child, from a loss that was expected to one that was more sudden. We realized in talking to people who haven't experienced a major loss yet that there can be a gap in knowledge and understanding on how to engage with somebody who's currently grieving. The 6 tips I'll share will help you lean in to support your friend rather than feeling awkward and uncertain of how to help. Tip 1, grief doesn't end. Our customers are some of the most inspiring, draw purpose from pain people that you'll ever meet. But one thing that they share is that there's a hole left in their loved one's absence and that they'll never be the same again. It's not melodramatic, it's just reality. The pain of a significant loss will always be there. It will change them, but they'll learn to coexist with it. The best way that you can support them as a friend is just to understand that. Tip 2, ditch the cliches. As somebody who's experienced a major loss, I can tell you that cliches are the worst, and our customers agree. We hear them sharing them like battle scars. For example, everything happens for a reason. He's with God now. Everything's gonna be okay. Yuck. While these statements come from a good place, they feel like daggers to the heart because it feels like they minimize an enormous experience and will be interpreted as everyone else having moved on already. That's definitely not your intention, so before offering a consolation like this, first ask yourself, am I trying to justify what happened, or am I just trying to make them feel better? If the answer to either of those is yes, then it's counterproductive to say. You're probably thinking, Adele, well, what do I do instead? Let's unpack that in tip number 3. Tip 3, acknowledge the suck and stick together. Most people are uncomfortable around death, so they'll tiptoe around somebody who's grieving and treat them with kid gloves. This makes the person feel totally misunderstood and signals to them that there's no outlet to share what they're feeling. Then grief takes a very lonely turn. If you're wanting to support a grieving friend or family member, don't fear the tears. Let them know it's okay that they're not okay, and you'll hold the space for them to cry, to be angry, to be sad at any time. Call the situation for what it is and acknowledge the suck. Sometimes the most comforting thing that you can do is just taking your friend's hand and saying, this sucks so hard, but we're gonna get through this together. No cliches needed. You just showed them that you understand and you gave them the best gift that you could give, letting them know that they don't need to go through this alone. As we discussed in tip number 1, grief does not end. So across time, it will show up in waves. Keep coming back to this approach. A year from now, hearing wedding vows or seeing kids playing in the park potentially could trigger your friend. So if you see a grief wave taking over, just take their hand, acknowledge the suck, and let them know that you'll get through this one together too. Tip number 4, don't ask how to help, just help. We've all had the experience of hosting a dinner party where somebody asks us, what can I do to help? And we know it's honestly harder to delegate that kind of stuff. You have to think of something for them to do, provide instructions, delegate, oversee. Now imagine being asked that question after your entire world just came crashing down around you. You're not really in the headspace to be a good project manager. So if you're wanting to help somebody while they're grieving, rather than asking them, how can I help? Try to think of a couple proactive things without asking. So maybe, have they done their laundry? Could the kids be driven to carpool? Could you cook for them? There's plenty of different ideas. So I challenge you, brainstorm 3 to 5 and just go do it. Don't ask. Tip 5, remember holidays are hard. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th Christmases can be as hard as the 1st. So something that you might consider doing is marking on your calendar the holidays that you know are going to be hardest for your friend or family member. Maybe that's Christmas, Thanksgiving, their birthday, their death day. If it was a spouse, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day. Then on those days, just shoot them a text that says, hey, I know today is really hard. I'm thinking of you, love you, sending you a big hug. Tip number 6, talk about their loved one. When someone passes away, many people's first question is, what happened? While we have a natural morbid curiosity, that question really doesn't serve our friend because it's forcing them to go rehash all the details of how their loved one died and reminding them again that they're no longer here. At Eterneva, instead of asking what happened, how'd they die, we ask, who were they as a person? What qualities were the most amazing about your dad? What are the special memories that you guys have together? If you were to describe him to a stranger that never met him, what was he like? Some friends will be a little bit more private than others, but you'd be surprised how often people will just light up to get to tell you all about their loved one, because nobody asks. What can also be cathartic is going back and looking at pictures and videos with them, because it's allowing them to relive the good times and be in a positive emotional state. We hope you found this video helpful, and we really admire you for taking the time to learn how to better support your friend who's going through a tough time. If you've been through a loss and have additional wisdom to add, please share it in the comments below. If you're curious to learn more about the Ashes to Diamonds process, visit our website at eterneva.com. We'll see you guys in the next video.